Hey folks, welcome to the channel. I'm Don, this is Rockin' the Country. I am doing a gift request. Eric Dean, shout out to you, my friend. Thank you for this gift and request. Stephen Wilson Jr., I don't think I've done anything by him. And All the Wars from Now On. Now that's a title that'll get your attention. And you know, one of the things about doing the reactions is that it's different when I hear the songs because I've got dedicated time to listen, say versus driving down the road listening to something for the first time. So this is one of these things where I can get into it like in a more, I don't know, intellectual or analytical, that's a better word, analytical basis. But All the Wars from Now On. All right, let's get into it. All the Wars from Now On. The lyric video, it might be blocked. I never know until I upload it. Where's Stephen from, Eric? I like that beginning.
Hey Bill, hey Don, hey Roger, hey Ron, four Purple Hearts full of war stories and a local diner black coffee. They laugh, act a fool, talk some trash, shoot the bull, but they're sweet as a slice of chest pie with shrapnel still in their bodies. And I couldn't help but sit there, watch them go. That's when it hit me. They got it figured out. All the wars from now on should be fought by old men who are old enough to know better now, knowing better than back then.
Thing is, it's politicians send us down the war. All right, let me keep going.
It's set the weapons on the ground, crack a couple cold beers, share Polaroids of the grandkids, let the black powder smoke clear. They play cards and shake hands, make some new friends. All the wars from now on should be fought by old men.
That's really good. It means they wouldn't be fought at all.
Don't they usually send some poor mother's son? Youth is wasted on the young. Recruit them right out of high school. Hell, they won't know any better. They'll fight, yeah, they'll die. And their hometowns will cry. And all that's left is some emptiness and a shaky handwritten letter. And it's been that way forever.
All right, so there are going to be way too many thoughts I have at the end of the song. That is true. The ones that don't have direction in life will frequently go in the military. Sometimes go in the military, put it that way. I shouldn't say frequently, but those that do, the vast majority don't die in battle or even see combat. And so that's the flip side of it, where there are many, many lives that are straightened out by going in the military and the discipline. And so many of the folks that come out of like the Navy or like who went to West, folks that are like very well trained, they come out and they absolutely crush it in the business world because they're disciplined, focused, smart, all of that stuff. But the negative side is what he's talking about here, and I get it.
Should be fought by old men who are old enough to know better now, knowing better than back then. It set the weapons on the ground, crack a couple cold beers, share Polaroids of the grandkids, let the black powder smoke clear. They play cards and shake hands, make some new friends. All the wars from now on should be fought by old men.
I like his voice for this song.
There'd be peace on earth
Wake up, wake up.
Wake up, the world is on fire. Yeah, I'm not sure what that part was about. I mean, the world is on fire. Fair enough. I mean, that's to me that would be a reference to the song's content, which is that there are wars out there, and maybe that was, uh, a soldier listening to it. But I don't know. Have you ever wondered, like, why? All right, two nations decide we can't get along with one another, and it's been suggested before. I don't think I contemplated this in philosophy. It's certainly something that you might contemplate in a certain type of philosophy class, but anybody could contemplate this. Why the leaders don't sit down and play like a game of chess. Instead of sending people down to kill each other, play a game of chess, and the winner of that chess game gets whatever the war would have been about. But then you play that out and you're like, well, the loser isn't going to honor that. And it just seems to be, it's mankind's way. It's the animal kingdom's way. And, might makes right. Like one of the things we study so many different things. And I love thought experiments. I love thinking. I love contemplating and such. But one of the things that you study, I don't know if it was in an ethics class or existentialism, whatever. What makes something right? And theologians might say, well, if God said it, that's what makes it right. Then you get into, well, how do you know what God said? And some people will say, well, read the New Testament. Others would say, read the Torah, Hebrew Bible, whatever, Quran, or Buddhists would say kindness. But there was a philosopher Thrasymachus, I'm pretty sure was his name, who said, might makes right. The people who are the mightiest are the ones who declare what makes something right. Back then it would have been the king. And so the king says what is right. Don't like it, we're going to take you out. So get arrested. It's that simple. But when is it right for war? And why do we do this? Animals do it. Are we any different? In many ways, no. We try to live civilly among one another. So we have laws in civilization, in society, that keep us from harming others on a regular basis. But we make up for it in wartime, where hundreds of thousands or millions in World War I and World War II, for example, people die very quickly. So it's sort of like an uneven distribution of death, whereas in the animal world or animal kingdom, it's a more even distribution of death and life and rebirth. Mankind comes in fits and spurts with it. But I love the heart behind it, because when you get older, I mean, these guys had shrapnel in them, and they were laughing in the coffee shop in the beginning of the song. And what was it? Bill, Don, Ron, was there Jerry? I don't know. Anyway, there were four guys in there laughing, but they had shrapnel. And what a sight, what a line. But it's just one of these things. Yeah, young guys go down to war, old people can't. But when you've lived long enough, you just say to yourself, good Lord, man, it's got to be another way. I mean, one of the many writings that I've done, I actually published this to Amazon Kindle. It's in a 3-part series, but it's 1,500 things that won't exist in heaven, or an alternate title is that won't exist in a, or an alternate title is 1,500 things that won't exist in a perfect world or an ideal world. And one of the things that I said in there were nations. Nations won't exist in an ideal world, because you don't need to be separatist. If people are looking out for one another's interests in an ideal way, and there's a good balance between taking care of yourself and taking care of others, you wouldn't need nations. We would basically have a uniform way of approaching one another, and that wouldn't involve taking advantage of one another, of trying to harm one another. It would be just a very pleasant place to be. And to me, that's sort of how heaven is depicted. So I'm going to rate this song, because it isn't a song. It's not a song that's, I mean, it's obviously about war, but it's not about a specific wartime experience. It's the what we learn from it. And I love this voice. For this song, I love this voice. Reminded me a little bit of Cody Johnson, a little bit of Cody Jinks. Sometimes those two remind me of one another, so it kind of makes sense. A little bit of Mickey LaManta, but certainly non-pop. There's nothing pop about this. So, and I don't know if Steven Wilson Jr. had fought in wars, or if this is just something that he'd observed. Eric, maybe you know more of the backstory to it. Maybe you know Steven yourself. I'm not sure. But man, am I going to rate this? I normally don't rate songs, but this isn't an homage to someone. This is more a concept than an experience. It's based on experience, but it's addressing the concept that send the old men down there. They're far less likely to pull the trigger on stuff because they know the consequences of it. Young men, not as much. Man, I don't know how I could give this based on heart alone a 10. So that's what I'm going with. That's a number that popped into my head. From the opening instrumentation was intriguing. I didn't know what was going to go on with it, but it sounded almost like a gong came in, a muted gong came in at some point. I'm like, well, that's different. And just absolutely fascinating. So there it is, guys. I hate war too. I think just about everybody does. Not everybody. There are some psychos out there who are into it. But for the most part, people just don't want to be on the chopping block or putting others on the chopping block. They'd rather just go home, watch the ball game, and then do something like this. So, Eric, thank you again, my friend. All right, folks. I'll read your comments. I always do. Don't comment on them all, but because there are usually a lot of them, but I read them. Have a great day. I'll see you on another video and keep rocking the country.